All right, Harry. Tonight's Bible study is in Matthew chapter 19, where Jesus talks about divorce and what is entailed and all that. So we're going to start ahead in verse 3. Let me go ahead. Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?" Was this normal practice back then?
Yeah, much too normal. And so they're coming to him and questioning about that. Of course, Jesus has been adopting or adapting his teaching from the Old Testament. And they're wondering if he's okay with that. And he certainly is not, because that is really a careless way of looking at it. And especially for a man, he tires of his wife and finds somebody more suitable. He just sends her away. And that is absolutely not what Jesus has in mind. Jesus is teaching a much higher standard on several fronts, on murder and adultery, and now also on marriage. He thinks it's a sacred, special event.
Yeah, I have one more question. Why did the Pharisees say to him to test him? Like, why does it say that they came to test him? What could they possibly be testing him about in something like this?
Well, of course, the Old Testament is their rules, and they're wanting to see if they can find Jesus to prove that he is violating the rules of the Old Testament, which makes him wrong in their eyes. They didn't like his concept of the Sabbath, so they're trying this one also.
All right. Verse 4. Haven't you read, he replied, that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female? And I find that quite beautiful, that even the animals, every single aspect, he created as male and female. What do you think, Harry?
Yeah, and actually, if you think about all the people that we read about in the Old Testament, all the heroes and everybody, a divorce never was a topic. I can't think of any place where they valued their spouses. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they valued their spouses. They like all the heroes, they're the ones that were married. Some weren't, but their spouses were special to them, and so they really didn't require the teachings of Moses to be able to divorce their wife. It was just an opportunity, but it was bad news.
Verse 5. And said, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." What does it mean when two become one flesh? Is he talking about physically or spiritually there?
I think both. They're really. There's both halves go together to make a really, really strong bond. And if you think about all people agree that the early part of a marriage is really, really special when you're living with your best friend, you're enjoying bliss, as you might say, and then divorce. That's where you're going to hate your best friend. Where are we going with that? That I know it happens, but as a Christian, no, what Jesus is teaching, that's a whole different level of thinking. Like in the world that happens, in the Old Testament it happens, but not in Jesus' story.
All right, in verse 6. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. That's interesting that they say let no one separate, because it's talking about how they're united together. Eh? What do you think?
Yeah, and if you actually think about it, what Jesus is teaching, that we're supposed to love our enemies, and these are our best friends. How can a Christian ever? What Jesus is teaching at a different level. If we're supposed to love our friends and our enemies, how can we not love the parent of the children, our spouse who we have children in common with, and so on, and to think of not of hating on that person. No, that is terrible. Everybody's supposed to be our friend. And I know that in any divorce, at least one person is not a Christian, if not both. In or out of the church, it doesn't matter, because obviously, if you're hating on the one you used to love, my goodness, that is not a Christian viewpoint, and that is really, really an that is so unchristian in the very core of what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love the Lord, love our fellow man, and then we're going to hate on our spouse. No, that ain't going to work.
Doesn't make sense. Verse 7. Why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? Was this a commonly practiced thing back then?
Yeah, that's all it took was just a certificate of divorce, and so they're coming back. That's what Moses said, and Moses, rightfully so, was their hero. That's all the laws came from Moses, but that was a concession in the Old Testament that God made to the people. But it certainly isn't a concession that Jesus gives us. That is when He took away that concession. He is wanting us to love everybody, including our spouse.
Verse 8, Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. What way was it from the beginning?
Well, like Adam and Eve and all those people, they loved each other, they depended on each other, they were struggling together. I mean, life was hard on the farm, as they say. But yeah, Noah, all those people, life was hard. They needed each other, they depended on each other. They have all these things to deal with, and it wasn't like way from the beginning. But when people get rich and get lazy, they got time for other stuff, and bad stuff happens.
And verse 9, the last verse, I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. Now, this seems like an escape go type thing? Like we are able, is this the only way or reason we're able to divorce somebody?
Well, well, actually, many families, one spouse just wants to leave, finds another partner, takes off. That's it, done. Well, if the person that's left behind is a Christian, Jesus, I believe, here gives them the opportunity. Obviously, the party that has left, they're certainly not a Christian. That's a given. But the party that's left, they seem, to my thinking, they have an escape clause. But also they should really, really try to reconcile that. And every Christian would do that. If your spouse has been unfaithful, you still want to make it work. If it's any way of doing it. But that's how if you love Jesus, you love each other, and that's the nature He gives us, the nature of wanting what's best for everybody, and that and that's just who we are, and that's what we should be doing. And but the person that's left obviously got a problem, but the person that is left behind, they do have an option.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Harry.
Thank you.